So once you got into the army, you went overseas.
Yeah, well, we joined, and we joined in May. We went overseas in October, November to Palestine, and of course, I suppose 90% of the chaps who'd never been on the sea before, and it was an experience to them. But you can't nowadays you can't compare to the life that we lived on the transport and things like that, and it's impossible. I don't know. Now we look back on it, we talk about it, but it's just so different. See, the army was British Army, and the moment we left Australia, we became British Army, and the procedures and the way we lived, sort of business, and they were very, very strict. You see, officers, sergeants, and ORs, and that's how you. When I say that, I'm talking about not in our actual battalion, but the surroundings. When we went to say Bombay, you could it was officers only, and sergeants only, and ORs, and you just couldn't go into different hotels or anything like that. An OR was just nobody, and that's how it was.
The diggers had a reputation of being mischievous, larrikins with the British Army. How did you?
No. We had nothing to do with the British Army, but we lived when we went to a town. It was all the towns, cities were run by the British Army, and we had to abide by the rules. And like when we went to Bombay, we went up to Delhi, which is 100 miles away from Bombay, and that was the British Army camp, and we lived like the British Army, and the discipline. They copied the discipline of the British Army, and that's how it was. And my first Delhi, my first job was to do pack drills for 2 or 3 delinquents who were on the hillside, marching up and down for 3 or 4 hours with the heavy pack drills as punishment. And that was just a regular thing. But of course that was the British Army. Afterwards it changed so much when we got to Palestine, Australians.
You saw a lot of action in Palestine?
No. In Palestine we route march all the time. Never did anything else but route march, getting fit. It was silly. Of course we didn't realise it. But in case of route march, everywhere we went, we moved at night time by train or anything like that, or by truck, and we route marched all the time. That's one thing was that we had to keep fit. See, and the idea was that you use a rifle and a bayonet, in, out, on guard sort of business, like they did in the First World War. All our equipment was First World War, except for the Bren gun carrier. Bren gun, we got that later. But all our equipment, First World equipment, machine gun, Lewis machine gun, and the 303 rifle. And later on we got the 2-inch mortar, and later on we got the Tommy gun. But you see all these Arabs and everybody else firing guns in the air and all that ammunition. We before we went away, I know them, we fired 12 rounds of our rifle, and a little while later we fired another 12 rounds. That's the only time we fired the rifle till we got to Palestine, and later in Palestine we fired 6 rounds. That's all I fired. And I was given a Thompson machine gun just before we went to the desert. And I used to strip that, keep it clean and beautiful, polished it up and everything else, and I never fired it. and of course that was my undoing. When I went to action at night time, I fired the darn thing on automatic. And it was like putting a light out in front of you, like putting a hurricane lamp out. And I drew all the crabs from the enemy. So but we weren't trained in like that. All we were trained to do was route march and fight.